Hello and welcome to ARD the podcast. We are your hosts, Patience,
Everly,
Landon.
and Daniela. On today's episode, we're going to be focusing on scandals occurring in the K-pop industry and how the idols and people involved in these cases leave a stain on history moving forward.
the main scandals and cases we're going to focus on are Burning Sun, a nightclub located in Seoul, South Korea, and Brothers Home, an internment camp located in Busan, South Korea.
The Burning Sun was one of the most famous clubs of its time. 9 times out of 10, especially on weekends, the line would wrap all the way around the establishment. They had high standards too. You had to be attractive or rich to get in. If you wanted to meet somebody wealthy, beautiful, famous, or unknowingly evil,
Burning Sun was the place to go. There were many largely influential K-pop idols that frequented or had a share in the club.
The most well-known names are JJY or Jung Jin-young of Drug Restaurant,
Choi Jong-hoon of FT Island.
and the biggest name out of everybody was Lee Seung-hyun, better known as Seungri of Big Bang. In the end, Seungri was charged with many small business-related crimes and providing prostitutes for the VVIPs in the club. VVIPs are the men who would ask for and receive the women and do terrible acts to them. Seungri called the men VIPs and VVIPs, which also happened to be the fan-base name of Big Bang.
This gave them a bad look when everything came out, and lots of fans felt disgusted that he would tarnish something that used to be so wholesome, being very important people to the members. The other two main men, Jung and Choi, were charged with gang R-wording women. But weren't Jung and other men that were involved also charged with the recording and distribution of videos they had taken of the assaults?
Yes, many of the men had sent videos of their assaults into Kakao Talk group chats. These group chats were shown to have consisted of three previously mentioned men: a former Burning Sun employee, a businessman, and a former employee of YG Entertainment.
In these group chats, they also mentioned a police official.
They never mentioned his name, but a now late female K-pop idol, Gu Hara, had been friends with one of the men involved in the Burning Sun case before it had unfolded.
She got Choi, the man, on the phone and convinced him to tell a reporter the name of the official. The name they were given was Yoon Gyu Jun. With all this information so far, we'll be moving on to the brothers' home case.
Brothers Home was an internment camp located in Busan, South Korea. It was active around the 1970s to the 1980s.
The reason the government began to crack down on vagrancy and created the camps was to prepare for the 1986 Asian Games and the 1988 Seoul Olympics. There were multiple buildings that acted as these camps, later called vagrant detention facilities.
In 1961, a set of laws were enacted to institutionalize the housing facilities. Years later, in 1975, the South Korean Ministry of Home Affairs Directive No. 410 had vagrant patrol teams formed. The same directive defined vagrants as people who prevented healthy societal order in cities.
This definition allowed the patrol teams to decide who they thought was classified as a vagrant and who wasn't. They would take in orphaned and abandoned children, disabled people, panhandlers, and even unattended children whose parents didn't consent to their taking.
There were many reports from people's families who worried about their relatives' treatment at the brothers' facilities. Investigations revealed that inmates at the brothers' facilities were victims of torture, sexual violence, and forced labor.
The brothers' facilities were administered with an army-like command. The facilities would also send out mostly female children for adoption. Many agencies had received children from brothers.
All of these people, idols or not, were high in power compared to average citizens.
The men involved in the Burning Sun scandal were all majorly influential K-pop idols. Lee Seung-hyun in particular was in the biggest K-pop group of the time, Big Bang. They were on top of the world, while Seungri was burrowing secrets beneath everyone's noses.
The people involved in the brothers' home case mostly consisted of the government and extremely high-ranking people when it came to society.
Why is this important?
Idols and celebrities are a big part of history, whether it's obvious to us or not. They have a fan base that supports them, but one slip up can send that to the opposite direction. All of the idols mentioned had left their bands after the scandals came to light. Their former members and most of their fans were against them, disgusted by the horrible acts they had committed and the deceit they had fallen for.
The government and local police in the brothers' home case were never really caught and punished, yet a few people had been sentenced. Not many of the victims ever got justice. People started to doubt their government, mourn the loss and torture of their family members, and lose hope.
Everyone we've gone over in today's episode had deceived their audience and supporters. The people who'd fallen for it, members, fans, citizens, friends, family, their trust was severely thinned.
So, how did these people affect history? Well, they shattered the trust of those who once gave it to them. They ruined the reputation of their friends and bands, unable to wipe away the stain and backstory they had left. They leave hundreds in mourning, not even sure what unthinkable things their family members had to endure. They leave people unable to trust, women scared for their own safety wherever they go, and children having to be extra cautious, scared of being taken from their parents.
Yet, all these people,
They roam free, having served scarily short amounts of prison time. Some of the men involved in the Burning Sun served such a short sentence that it wasn't even put on their permanent record.
As we come to an end in today's episode, we hope you can see the ways people who have major influence on a community can impact history as time goes on. Remember to stay safe, and we hope you enjoyed.